This podcast is sponsored by
Surfshark.
That's right. Surfshark are the consistent sponsors of so many different things on this channel, so we need to show them why we're so consistent.
We love them.
Right? Yeah, they're great guys. They do VPN. We know what a virtual private network is. It keeps you in a place where A, your data's safe online because you are anonymous. You can go into certain cafes and certain public Wi-Fi points. Put that on, no one is getting inside that firewall.
Could be up a mountain in Madeira. Well, that'll make sense when you watch the podcast.
Sure, yeah. I mean, if you want to go up a mountain in Madeira and then you want to port yourself back to the UK, that's a smart thing to do. I was wanting to watch UK content, couldn't watch any of the iPlayer.
Oh.
Yeah, VPN, bang,
Boom.
back in the UK straight away. And to add to that now, they've also got antivirus software. Do you wrap it up before you go online?
Always.
And that's what virus software is essentially.
100%.
It's a condom for yourself when you go on the internet.
Just shove it over your head.
Well, you don't have to put a literal condom on. It's sort of just like a virtual thing. Yeah, exactly. But the point is, Surfshark have always been there for you, and now they're trying to protect you even further than just your data and your anonymity online. So get out there and get using it, because it's 83% off, 3 months for free, and it's if you use the code Geordie at checkout, or the link down in the description and the code Geordie at checkout. It's well worth a look. Surfshark sponsor the podcast. They're great guys. You know what people love most? When we just mention them, say go down there, click the link, get it, and on with the podcast.
Enjoy. Welcome back to the podcast. Prince William, apparently he's been playing away.
What?
And
on my Kate?
apparently that's kind of what they used the whole Meghan thing for, to distract from what's going on.
You're joking.
So it was trending on Twitter, Prince of Pegging, because apparently him and this other woman
were pegging,
doing some dirty shit, right?
Well, like father, like son, I suppose.
The maddest thing is it was trending world, like the biggest trending topic on Twitter, not a mention in the papers, not a mention of it.
Do you think they can't legally prove it, maybe? Or,
I mean, they couldn't legally prove a lot of the stuff about Meghan, but that was all over the fucking
Very
papers,
good point.
which proves the level of sway the royal family still have with the media, by
Absolutely,
the way.
yeah.
For anyone who thinks that...
How would you report that on BBC News at 10? I suppose the worst place would be for the BBC to break this story. BBC pegging, am I right?
The memes were so fucking funny, by the way.
Really?
There was one meme of a... it was like an aeroplane 3-seater or a bus 3-seater with the, the handle up, and someone had saved his seat with me.
Oh my God.
But yeah, Prince Wills is
I can't believe I missed
Shagger.
I've not seen this. Why do we protect the royals? And why is it that we've managed to find out about this? Why did Prince William have his perfect life? You've got everything if you're Prince William. You have access to everything.
Boring though, innit? You can't really do what you want.
Yeah, Harry's called and he's gone, fucking hell, it's great out here. And Prince William's gone, what kind of stuff? He went, arse play. He went, no way.
Fuck it, I'm going for it.
Yeah.
I'll tell Kate she can watch the kids tonight. I'm getting myself out there with my leather chaps on.
I don't know if you have to wear the leather chaps, but the
PVC.
What?
It's underrated.
PVC.
I've been watching a
no, go on.
Netflix show called Bonding. Don't know if you've seen it.
How much time do you have? I don't know.
Mate, I'm a lonely guy. Fuck
Sure.
off.
So what sort of thing are you watching with that?
It's basically about a woman who is a BDSM woman who's a dominatrix.
Right.
But it's a comedy show and it's very watchable. But she just dresses up in these outfits, and
what sort of outfits are we talking here? Like she's a nurse, she's a maid.
No, I'll show you.
How do you just have these to hand?
You
love bitches. That's the point.
Lawrence means that in a very literal...
people are assholes.
Yeah, sexually.
In sexual ways. Yeah, like, that's your problem.
I've been watching it, like, this is actually weirdly entertaining and funny. So, like, she's got a friend who helps her as he's a gay guy, but he helps her with the dominatrix side, and he's a very funny guy. But it's not really about the sex, it's the funny moments within the sex.
Right, so where people like piss themselves or
someone pisses on someone's face and
what?
He's struggling to piss, so he starts singing happy birthday, and then at the end they're like, happy birthday!
Right,
yeah.
okay. Right,
and it's like quite a funny moment. Like there's just some mad shit that happens in it where...
Does it arouse you at all?
Only her outfits. I think that she looks very hot.
Is there much nudity in the show?
Do you know like Catwoman in Batman?
The original one.
She's the Michelle Pfeiffer of bears.
On a serious note though, so is there much nudity in the show? Like, do you see
really?
many cocks or anything?
No, I can't remember.
See any boobs?
No, I can't really remember.
Interesting.
Yeah,
okay. Is it English or American?
American.
I don't think of Americans as into BDSM. I feel like they're very straight down the line sex. Do you know what I mean? Those people only fucking missionary to make kids.
Americans are the biggest freaks going.
No, that's not true.
Fucking way.
No.
Have you watched Louis Theroux? Come on.
Yeah, but they're not sexually like weirdly out there. I feel like you could definitely get more weird shit done in, Thailand.
Well, Rovin's out there right now, our cameraman, we'll ask him.
What I'm saying is, though, you know when I watch real BDSM stuff, like the real shit. Okay. Like, you know when you watch...
how often is this happening?
No, you know when you watch, like stuff where it's like a documentary and it's always a dominatrix. I mean, at the start, you're going, this is going to be great. This will be really fucking sick. It's not. It's often sort of dusty and a bit dirty, and like the men sort of arrive in their Ford Focuses and go, "You're right, yeah." So I just sort of pay a couple of £100 and then I go in and...
Men who want to be dominated, generally speaking, it makes sense why Prince William, of all people, would be one of those people, because...
Very powerful.
Exactly.
Right.
And apparently, a lot of these men who want to be, like, whatever, tied up, whipped, all that shit... It's about losing the power, losing control, flipping the switch, going somewhere that you don't normally go.
Right. I don't understand that.
This is the thing. And I think that there's an issue in society where everyone goes, men should be allowed to be whatever they want. Men should be more expressive with their feelings. But the minute a man is seen to be in anything feminine, from personal experience, you're called a fag, called gay, called all of these things that have been called when all the DM thing happened.
Homophobic slurs.
Absolutely. There's a real issue there where people think, oh, yeah, I'm pro men opening up and all of that. But like the minute anyone, everyone sniggers like a school child, and even I do as well, like, you know, anyone reading anything sexual.
It's quite funny.
It's funny.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, William's a classic guy who would be into something like that.
Pegger.
Well, just being dominated in any way.
Right.
From personal experience, from someone I've spoke to, they said that people in that industry, they had...
The royals? Or
No, the BDSM industry.
Right.
The common people who, we want to live like common
people,
who are into it, are like 40-year-old businessmen, 50-year-old businessmen who are like, fuck me. Their wife doesn't shag them anymore.
Yeah.
They're stressed about work. They want to fucking disappear into a dark fucking world that then just black out almost and become someone else.
Right, and also they probably have an idea of what they're going to do, and the pegging maybe isn't the start of it.
Well,
you sort of go down a bit of a...
Well, BDSM is a whole load of shit, isn't it? It's pissing on someone, it's whipping someone, it's fucking all sorts.
Right.
Pegging is sort of just one element.
Which is also interesting because I'd imagine there are also, like you said, there's probably a lot of people who just don't have the relationship in their marriage to be able to go, I want to be X or Y.
Well, this is part of the show I was on about was there's a moment where like they go to a house and the wife...
Is she a drop-in dominatrix?
Well, she does a bit of everything. She's got her own dungeon and all of that.
But she goes to houses as well.
To these and there's this like just perfectly lovely couple, and she's like, he wants me to do this to him, and I ain't gonna fucking do it. So
I've hired you.
I'm gonna have a cup of tea, and you're gonna go up there and do whatever he wants.
Wow. Which I'd imagine is like, you know, all these things that
I bet you it's not as...
I was gonna say it's way
unusual.
more common than you'd imagine. Yeah, like people basically just becoming quite selfless and going, listen, I don't want to do X, I'm gonna let you do it.
I've heard
almost
of
like a hall pass.
Like I've heard of hall passes. Like one of my mates who, when I was in the diving game, shout out to all the fans who love the old diving. Well, his name was...
Don't say Mike's name.
His name was Lee, actually.
Right.
But he went away on holiday, and like a Thailand type holiday. Where he was like, it's all right if I get myself a blowjob while I'm out there, and the way he sort of worded it was like, she was fine with it. Saves her a job. And in my head...
Did she not like sucking dick?
I don't know. But like, I just found it a bit like, that's a shame that, because to me...
Sucking dick is one of the greatest
things a man can get. But also, I personally think if you're in a relationship, man or woman, you want to be meeting each other's needs head on. And if you're not, and he's having to go to some fucking dominatrix, it's not ideal. Do you know what I mean?
How much do you show in a relationship of your side? Like, you know, if you're in a loving, committed relationship.
Why isn't Kate pegging William? That's the real question.
That was kind of where I was going with this. Was like, you know, why isn't it that she? Maybe she has. I don't know. Maybe that's part of it. But why? How much should you show to the other person? Should you show everything?
I think you should.
Certain thing. Is there ever a point that you should go, actually, I'm not going to show that side.
So from
to my
personal
partner.
experience, like the more you hide, the more likely the relationship is to fail.
Right.
In my
that
opinion,
makes sense.
If you're feeling like you have to hide a side of you from that person, that means you don't feel like they'll be receptive to it, and therefore you're going to hide that, and then eventually you're going to go to someone else who will be.
Right.
And
or you'll find another way of being an outlet.
I think men and women have these, because women are under pressure to be this perfect person who maybe sometimes they're worried, oh, if he finds out I've done this. But like, I know a lot of people in my life who I've spoken to who've gone, God, I've lied to boyfriends about doing this, that, and the other, because I didn't want them thinking that I was this person. In my head, I'm like, well, that's who you are, though. Like,
right.
Why pretend if this is what you're into? And if you're having to hide from someone that side of you, man or woman, you're not being the whole you, not being the truthful you. And eventually this is that is like a weed in the grass, isn't it? And it's going to cause issues down the road.
Yeah, you're not being transparent in a relationship where you need to be more transparent.
And it's like Chris Rock says, like, whatever you're into, you need to partner into the same fucking shit.
Right.
Man. If you're an alcoholic, they got to be an alcoholic too.
Right.
You know.
And with that, like, you can't half-arse that has to be fully committed,
especially in pegging.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't half-arse it,
right? Yeah. No, well, I suppose you go halfway, but just do the tip. But the point is, you could I suppose that's where some people do go, cool, I'll just go to a prostitute, do whatever you want, love, you know.
I think that's just a real shame when someone has that feeling about sex with their partner.
You need to both be into it, like you said, but when you're both into it, then you'll both get something out of it. And sometimes I'd imagine some people just sort of suffer through certain sexual scenarios because they go, he likes it, he likes fucking my feet, but you don't have a foot thing. You needed to find someone who's got a foot thing.
But you love him, so you love doing it for him.
Yeah.
And that's the point, is whether it be a man who has a woman who has a very weird sexual desire, or vice versa. It doesn't matter. You need to come, like, and I know it's easy for me to say this, and people might think I'm labouring this, but the reason I say it is because whether it's sex or whether it's any other element of your relationship, the more you try and hide elements of your personality early on, and there'll be a lot of people who listen to us who have, new relationships or early relationships. Stop trying to pretend like you are this representative of you. Be you. And if they don't like that, they're going to find out who you are within the next 20 fucking years. So you better be you now, so that if they don't like that, then you can cut the fucking shit and get someone who does like you.
Or they can give you feedback on who you are, and you might actually get honest feedback about your personality. That person might say, hey, the way you do this actually annoys me a little bit, but I love the rest of you. And you might go, actually, yeah, that kind of annoyed me too. Or like, the
communication factor. And that's partly why there's the breakdowns in so many relationships, is you're not being truthful, therefore you're not communicating, and therefore you're not getting the best out of each other.
Yeah.
And BDSM is an example of how that happens, when one person feels ashamed that they have certain desires.
Shame is a very, like,
I think that's more on the women's part as well. Like, when women have been with a guy who's a fucking savage, who's done all sorts, and then you get, like, there's some men out there right now, no offense, but they're living in dreamland, thinking that they're the best guy that this girl's ever had.
I am living in
and women always tell men that, but the reality is, the chances are, men, there's a guy who got there before you, had a way bigger dick, who fucked her way better than you are. And she loves you anyway.
But you could also be that guy. So remember, hold out hope that you're that big dick guy who's going around.
But even if you aren't, like, don't make her lie to you.
Right.
Embrace who she is, and embrace whatever that is.
Although maybe that man likes the shame of her lying to him, and the shame that he feels when she lies.
You're so fucked up.
She maybe when she says, "No, baby, you're the biggest dick I've ever had," he goes, "Tell me again," because he knows that she's lying, and it undermines his confidence sexually to the point where he comes. And at that point,
everyone's a winner. Aside from her.
No, she's also a winner because she knows what she's doing.
I don't know. You know what I'm going with it. I just think
totally be yourself is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Or be authentic.
I think that's one of the mistakes I made when I was younger.
What, you weren't yourself?
Well, I was a version of me, but I was the best version of me. So here's the goal, right? And I know this is basic, but I hope someone gets something from this, because I really have learned this about myself, is my goal when I was sat in front of a pretty girl was, I need to get this pussy. I
You're being honest, and
I want her. I fancy her. So this is my goal, is to get that, right?
When did he get this?
So what I had to do in my head was going, what's the best road to this? What is she like? How can I make her laugh? How can I, but, and not in a cynical way. It's just, when you admire a woman, it's what men do. What my goal really should have been was going, I need to find out if we're fucking compatible. And the only way I can do that is by letting it all hang out and being the real me. And if she likes that, then we've got a fucking chance.
Can I?
That's providing you're talking about having a relationship.
And that's what
obviously,
I'm saying
if you're just trying to shag her, men are going to be men.
And that's kind of the point. Is I think some people enter relationships with different expectations. Some women might enter thinking, "Oh, he wants a relationship." Some men might enter thinking, I just want to have sex here.
I think you better be honest about that as well.
Right. But also because you can probably get more out of it if you both go, I'm just here for the sex, or I'm here for a relationship.
Or the halfway.
You'll build in a different way, right? And you'll like, because also in your 20s, you don't, or even in your late teens, you don't have to commit to being, I only want this kind of relationship for my life. People seem to think that once you've decided on the kind of relationship you want, therefore you cast all other kinds of relationship out. It's like, well, it's a bit like on Love Island when they go, I'm just this kind of person.
Absolutely.
I'm just a committed person.
No, but I don't watch Love Island, but what you can find is some relationships that don't work out, they pivot and they end up being something else that's actually really good.
Right.
Like a friendship, for example, that's amazing for the rest of your life, and that you'll always have and always keep in contact with that person.
Your pegging friend.
You only get that through just being the real you.
Or being honest.
I think most people are bullshitting their partners in some way, shape or form, or a lot of people are. Maybe it's not most, but... And yeah, that's just sort of something that's been rolling around in my head lately.
Just to be authentic in a relationship.
Yeah, and be authentic in life, like generally.
That does cause some issues in relationships though, doesn't it? Where if you are being authentic, it's sometimes, especially if you're not compatible in a good way and you don't have a good way of solving it, can cause conflict in a relationship because you're trying to be authentic.
I think it's healthy though. It's healthy to have that out and go, you know what, this ain't fucking going to work.
Sometimes that's hard though, isn't it? Do you get what I mean?
Oh, it's sad.
You're sitting in a perspective where you are advocating for it, and I respect that. But I think the other side is...
You love someone and you want to keep it together.
Right, or you want to keep it together until after the family party on the weekend. Do you know what I mean? We've got a date on Tuesday.
Yeah,
really
and there's men and women out there who are in love with their other half or damn near in love, and they're going, God, I care so much about this person. I don't want to let that person go. But equally... If we're being honest, if I'm being the real me and they're being the real them, this wouldn't work. I'm having to accommodate them by being a fake version of me to allow for this to carry on because let's say it's a woman. She knows if she's the real her, then he's going to have a problem with that,
right?
Or vice versa.
So what would have happened back in the day with William, the way that they would have covered it up after the masses found out about it, was they would have said, this is actually a very royal thing to do. So actually, William wanting to get fucked in the arse or whatever it is,
it's a special thing.
It's a special thing that actually more, he's advocating for it in a sense, and more people should try it.
He uses the other end of his sword.
Right, yeah. And that's a lion head. Do you know what I mean? There's
gold with a diamond.
A gold diamond lion head. And it's not plated, that's solid gold.
Yeah, it's not like one of those butt plugs that you see those porn stars with a shiny ending.
And also, when it's got the, it's got the sheath on it.
Oh, that's a whole load of length. She's able to
double hand it then.
Oh, yeah.
She can double hand that.
She gets a little hammer on the end and knocks it in.
Very slowly and very gently initially. And then after a while, she's just shoving
It's funny
because
I can visualise William's face sort of grimacing as each inch further into his cavity.
And you were thinking earlier about the hilarity of it. And that's...
Of William's colon being penetrated.
Penetrated by a giant sword. So the point with that is, and I'm not saying it's happened, I'm just saying if it did happen... I bet you they get up all sorts, man. Well, I can't speculate. But
probably slaughter animals and that as well.
Back in the bedroom?
Yeah, she probably chops a fucking sheep's head off with the sword and then shoves it up his arse. Not the head, the sword.
Right. I mean, either. The point is, though, back in the day, everyone would have gone, the king has done this. We must also peg. And everyone would have been doing it. And I feel like nowadays, we should almost take a leaf out of the middle-aged book. If Henry got a divorce... Everyone else was able to go and get a divorce.
Yeah.
If Prince William pegs someone, or someone is pegging Prince William, we should also take his lead.
And be able to peg William.
And be able to... we should also look in our own relationships and go, if pegging is good enough for the royals, these people who are elite, Is it good enough for the everyday man, Brian?
Let them peg.
Let them peg. Let my people peg, says the Queen.
Let my people peg.
They pegged last week. And then he won't feel shame anymore.
No, because everyone's doing it. He's a trendsetter.
Exactly. And
he's the Kim Kardashian of
There've been the
pegging.
Victorians. There've been the Elizabethan era. This will be the pegging era.
Maybe William needs to give me a call. I can sort of help him navigate his way around.
Absolutely. Yeah. Listen, William, this has just come out. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of banter around this.
I'm going to set you up with a guy. Stephen tries. He'll make this blow over real quick.
Absolutely. All you need to do is a royal news.
Your hair is getting fucking long.
I know.
Really long.
Whenever I have a kid, I grow it out.
That's actually the reason I mentioned it, because that's quite high on the list of what people want to hear about.
Really?
You have yet again, Laurence McKenna.
Call him daddy twice.
Impregnated
a beautiful woman.
Well done.
Thanks. I do see it as somewhat of one of my greatest achievements in life.
Yeah, well, at least you can do something right.
Yeah, true. Yeah. I can organise something around here. We're very happy.
Although I've heard she did most of the work.
That's literally untrue. She's done most of the work in growing that small child. We knew it was a boy the first time. We don't know what it is this time.
Oh, surprise.
Well, I've got a feeling.
What's the feeling then?
I think it's a girl.
Really?
Yeah.
You're bound to say that though, aren't you?
Am I?
Probably just because you had one last time, you're going to feel
No, but like, you know...
Is she behaving different?
Yeah, like just she's a bit more relaxed this time. Like a bit more just like, yeah, let's just chill out. Just chill, relax. And she looks a bit different and like acts just slightly differently. I think it's a girl. I've just got this feeling every time. You know, you can just look at someone and go, that's a girl. But everyone else goes, it's a boy.
Either way, as long as it's healthier.
That's what she always says. So I was I think it's a girl. And then I'll try and like bet with other people.
Are you feeling any different now? Because you're getting a bit of a clan together here. Are you feeling like,
Let's not refer to this as a clan, first of all.
KKK.
Yeah.
It's a family now. It's got more of a family thing going.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
And my son's 2, and like...
You really going to have a lot going on there.
I mean, yeah, he's
a little rambunctious kid.
Rambunctious is a great way of putting it.
Yeah, he runs around, he's excitable, he's intelligent, he's a very smart kid.
Got himself a scooter as well.
Well, there you go then, you can get from A to B.
Yeah, I said to him, you can get to work easily now, son. He's a smart kid. He's smarter than me.
Yeah, he's lovely.
We had a lovely family holiday with him. That was a great time. His first sort of real trip away where we're not, you know, we went to Kosovo last year, but this year we went away on like a family holiday.
Well, yeah, but he's a little bit more able to take things in now.
Definitely. Like he's not just sort of going, oh yeah, look at that. He's much more like...
He gets in the front seat with the taxi driver. He's like, all right, on your left.
Bro, this guy engages people more than I engage people. Like he wants to talk to absolutely everyone, especially women.
Ladies.
And I just put it this way. Loves a woman with a tan.
Bit like his old man then.
No, but I mean like with a real tan.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Like he will approach anyone out on the street who is just more tan than anyone who's like, you know, Irish.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he will never approach someone of like as like clear like
he
a
doesn't
sheet.
look. If you're watching and you're a woman who's pale, you don't need to worry about this.
No, absolutely not.
He doesn't like pale bitches. You know what I mean?
And that's actually the way he refers to them at home. The other day he comforted a child in the middle of the park who was just upset. Neither of us knew why. But he just went over, sat down next to them and just went, and then looked at me like, am I doing it right? And I was like, in a way, but also that kid might have monkeypox. So
stop touching other kids.
Yeah.
All right? Put a mask on.
Anyway, I'm excited and, you know.
So tell me about the holiday. What was that like? Because you said you had a couple of good stories for us.
I've got some good stories from the holiday.
Uh-huh.
We went to Madeira. Let me set the scene. Madeira, beautiful island, just off the well, not just off the coast, but closest to Africa, the west coast of.
It's not necessarily what I was expecting you to say.
When you saw my holiday, what did you think?
No, well, you were like, I'm going on a family holiday. And I was like, where are you going? And you're like, just near Africa. I'm like, he's 2 years old. What
he loves it.
Was he doing safari?
I mean, I'd love to go on a safari.
Yeah, I mean, just give him a few years.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Got to be old enough to
As I found out off of The Lion Whisperer, a podcast that nobody watched.
No.
It was a difficult one for me. I love lions.
Yeah.
I thought people would be interested. No.
I didn't understand why no one was more interested in that.
It bombed. But I do...
I don't get why, though.
There's no way that podcast got into the sub boxes.
Do you know what's weird about that is? That's the one they choose to shadow ban. Do you know what I mean?
I do think that they're highly supportive at YouTube of lions in captivity. They were annoyed by what you were saying.
Yeah.
The point is animals are triggered by little kids, it turns out. I didn't realise. Sorry to interrupt. Madeira.
Because they look weak and small.
Madeira.
Beautiful island where Cristiano Ronaldo comes from.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Do you know about that? A lot of people with the same demeanour as Cristiano Ronaldo. Basically,
arrogant.
Yeah
really.
I think a lot of the people on this island Either love tourists or hate tourists. We stayed in some beautiful hotels. So we stayed in like a quiet little hotel for a couple of days, built into the side of a mountain.
Why do you do that a lot? You
stay in hotels?
No, but you do multiple hotels.
Right.
On trips. So with me, I go on a holiday.
You want to just sit.
I get one fucking hotel with one fucking pool, and I sit by that pool.
Yeah.
With
people
you,
think there'd been a small gorilla installed for the week.
Yeah. You go.
You did that thing. You know, like male gorillas. They sit there and they just go
balls out. Yep. That's basically what I do. I don't. Whereas you look at a holiday like an adventure. Mm-hmm. You're like, let's get multiple hotels. It's like you can't even unpack your fucking suitcase, and before you know it, you're packing again and you're going to another hotel.
Sure.
That would drive me mad. No. Does your missus not get frustrated by you?
It bit me a little on this holiday. It's bitten me.
Well, there you go then. And it's ironic that I would point that out, and all of a sudden, my level of common sense is applicable to your.
I wouldn't say it's common sense to stay at one hotel for the whole time. No, it's not common sense.
Normal.
No.
That's pretty normal.
No, but I get what you're saying.
How long were you away for again? 2 weeks?
11 days.
All right.
The point is, we went to the first hotel. It was a Savoy. We're talking like, you know, they call you sir and madam, and, you know, it's a pretty nice place, beautiful pools, built into the side of a mountain. Obviously, my wife is 8 months pregnant at the time, so she just goes, I'll chill out by the pool with the kid, and if you want to go out and have any adventure days or anything, you go get on it.
And if I can say this,
yeah,
being a woman who is quite slender naturally,
yeah,
you can't mistake the fact that she's pregnant.
No, absolutely not.
You know, some women are bigger built, shall we say, and a pregnancy,
carry it differently.
It's really like she looks the same, but it's just like someone right on the belly button.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And in a few other places. It's pretty incredible to live in my house right now.
You weird cunt.
So she goes, sits by the pool in what is currently a very trendy hot pink bikini. Because hot pink is trendy this season.
Yeah.
Barbie.
You posted a picture of that.
We've had that experience with perverted men. A lot of perverted men out there love pregnancy.
It's the female form.
What do you think about this? Because, yeah, like it's sort of like, we had this discussion because obviously we posted the photo.
This photo with her being by the pool in a beautiful setting and wearing very little clothing. To be fair, it was something that you might see in like one of those pregnancy magazines.
And if you want to commission me, I'm in.
I was sort of immediately, I was like, oh, this is a beautiful moment. But some of these fans, and I use that term loosely,
perverts,
will comment certain things. What kind of things have you been?
Wasn't so much the comments as kind of men very much directly thinking that the DMs were sort of a place to go, you look like pregnancy is really hot to me, that sort of thing. Which
are they like, do you have an OnlyFans type shit? Or?
Yeah, I think so. Because I also think the standard expectation of kind of a mid-level to low-level influencer like me is that we're so desperate for cash that we must have an OnlyFans.
Really?
Yeah, and you know, and times are hard sometimes, but not to the point where
they should know. They should watch. If you're on Instagram, you see how many brand deals you do. You're not hard up.
Absolutely.
Every other fucking video.
Well, every video actually.
Yeah.
So it turns out that a lot of men are drawn towards pregnancy, I think.
It's the bigger boobs and stuff like that comes with it.
Okay, so there's a lot of benefits to pregnancy, right? Like there's bigger boobs, obviously.
Why is that a benefit?
You know, you're just seeing something beautiful grow. And so you feel a lot more bonded to your partner, I think.
Bondage?
But also, there's that
bonded
as well. Yeah.
Oh.
I think naturally there is a satisfaction to pregnancy because you go...
I did that.
In a way, as a man, you can't help but step back and appreciate your work. But what I mean by that is...
It's so weird how much we've changed over the years.
No, but what I mean by that is, there is like an innate sense of, oh right, like that, you know, this is real.
I do feel a little like when you're speaking here, I'm getting a little more caveman-y vibes from the McKenna, like a little animalistic is what I mean. Like
on a base level.
Yeah, like at the primitive side of our brain, which is still there as much as we're civilized.
Don't deny it.
You can't deny instincts and feelings that you're just going to have when you're creating a family,
and also that I'm proud of.
I did that.
No, but not in a crude sense, but in a sense of like. It's a sense of, you know, you found someone you care enough about to have a kid with them. But the point is, you end up feeling really attracted towards your partner because obviously naturally you're bonded.
A lot of men don't.
Oh, really?
Do you not think though? I've seen this a lot in the media. Is like stories about how pregnancy can derail a sex life because some men look at their women and they feel like they're scared to touch them in case they do something to hurt the baby. And also, let's not kid ourselves. Like, not every pregnancy looks like what you're experiencing.
What I've had. And I get that. Some people have incredibly difficult pregnancies.
Well, I just mean some people eat a lot more.
Yeah.
You know, and
there is a McDonald's just around the corner.
Well, no, but like, you're a fortunate man. Let's just leave it at that. But
I have been so far.
But some pregnancies, they spiral.
Right.
Some women, and you know who you are out there. Some of you women out there, you love the sweets.
Sure.
You love the chocolates.
You love the Haribo.
And some women think, now I can put my feet up. I don't have to try anymore.
Right.
I've got him. Let's go to work.
Let's go to work.
Let's go to any Greg's. Any McDonald's?
Do you think some bodies, though, just convert fat in different ways? So,
genetically speaking, absolutely. Like
some people
the way you're, it's sort of weird talking about flu like this, but flu snaps back. Do you know what I mean?
Do, touch wood.
Yeah, and
inshallah.
Obviously, every pregnancy, by what I've been told by a couple of my mates who've had multiple children, they say it gets harder for the women. Each time it gets a little harder. Like I said about flu, flu is a slender woman who just looks like it's all baby. But some women, I don't know how to put this, but
they're built in a different way, and their body sort of goes. I think their body basically goes tick pregnant.
Well, some women you don't know they're pregnant until about 7 months in. Let's just say that, because the baby is sort of protected by a layer
of something else,
blubber.
Yeah. No, but I also think that's down to background as well, because we've had chats obviously with other pregnant
couples. Sort of like sumo or something.
Yeah, in a way.
Wherever you're from.
Super duper sumo.
What is your background?
But what I mean is, like, there's some people who don't show, like, culturally or like blood-wise. So we were speaking to some people who are Latino, right? And they were like, in our family,
Latino people are just hot, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
they're
are
just
actually.
Like literally the best-looking people in the world.
Yeah, right.
If you're that's the thing about being based in the UK.
You don't see many Latino.
Like you look on social media, and like, you know how your recommended pages and stuff have certain things come up.
You and I probably have very different recommended pages.
No, but like in my head, I'm like, why is all the best-looking people in Mexico? And
why don't you just fuck off to Mexico
Miami,
for a little while? Go to Mexico and Miami. Nothing's stopping you from going to these places.
Because out there, I'd be a delicacy.
Honestly, you would.
They'd look at me and like, who's that Viking man?
That's partly what I was thinking. Was like, if you go to these places, no one over there has ever experienced these kind of, Viking types.
I like it.
Yeah. And in many ways, they go, I didn't realize UFC was in town this week.
So what were they saying, sorry, about their pregnancy?
So they were basically saying that they didn't show until much later. Some people show quite early.
Flu seems to show very early, isn't it? It's just like, pregnant.
Oh, yeah, right. But
you get her pregnant, but a month later, there's just a little
you go,
bubble.
oh, what's that?
A little bubble there.
Yeah, and she, I think some women also enjoy it more than others. So, some people have a terrible experience, like months of sickness. And also now I get suggested all these Instagram and, TikToks that have been ripped off of TikTok and put on Instagram, where it's like listing the top 5 things that are a symptom of pregnancy that you don't want. And you're like, why are you pointing like that to music? And then you have to watch it. And it's like piles and like, constipation and things like that. And I'm just like, okay, well, I haven't heard any of those.
I don't think I'd cope very well with all of that.
Flu doesn't moan at all. Like, she is, our relationship has grown to a point where she moans zero about being pregnant ever. And I think that's pretty remarkable.
That's nice, because it's a gift that not everyone gets, and there are some women out there who do struggle, though.
Right, to get pregnant?
Well, yeah, there's things like polycystic ovaries.
And that's way more common than you expect.
Endometriosis and stuff like that. So there's stuff out.
Reasons.
Yeah, there's women out there who are really struggling, who, such a weird thing that I would come onto this, but we're going to go on a little detour. Just take a second. I was watching this fucking crime YouTube documentary thing, right? And there was this woman who couldn't get pregnant. She used to go to this weekly thing. I can't remember what it was, but they were like a book club or a club of some sort. Yeah. And she noticed this other woman was pregnant, and she was like, "Yeah, me too." She was lying.
That's weird.
Gets to the point where it's like 8.5 months pregnant.
Gives birth.
There's a knock at the door. Someone's the girl's selling a puppy or something like that, and someone's made an arrangement to come and collect the puppy. She opens the door. It's the girl from the book club.
Yeah.
Before she knows it, she's fucking cutting her belly open, reaching inside, pulling the baby out, leaves the woman dead on the floor, walks off with the baby, goes home to a fella who's just been telling the whole time she's pregnant. And she's like, oh, I had the baby. He's fucking clueless, right? Don't know how.
How the fuck have they...
I know. He literally was exonerated, though. Like, he was, like, found, like, completely innocent in this.
Has this guy not had any, like... Has he never turned, like, rolled over in the night and gone, have a little sex here?
The name of the case was, like, Womb Raider. I'm not even joking. So bad, right? But anyway...
Stop branding things.
That poor woman. So, her mother comes home, finds her like that, and she literally rings up and she's like, my daughter's lay there as if her stomach's exploded. There's no baby. I don't know what's happened.
So how did they find out that the woman had done that? Did she admit to doing that?
The feds were involved immediately because it was such a dark case.
That is really awful.
Like, this is what happened though. Like, she'd been abused and she couldn't have kids and she'd had all sorts of issues. But the point was, she was like, oh, I've just been to the hospital. The feds were like, we checked the records.
You've not been to the hospital.
The baby survived and the baby now is still alive with the dad. Poor mother died.
I mean, that is a horrible, traumatic birth.
Mad though, right?
That's probably like one of the weirdest births ever.
I'm going to come back to this, but I've been watching a lot of dark crime stuff.
When you say dark crime, do you search dark crime?
No, but there's loads of YouTubers who just tell stories about, like...
Are they true?
No, they're all true.
How do you know?
It's like, you know how like there's ASMR and like there's FIFA at YouTube? There's a group of like true crimers, basically. And
true crime or dark crime?
Well, true crime. But it's this one was the guy at the start was like, if you're into some weird dark shit, this is the one for you. But in my head, I was like, not really sure we should talk about.
Why not?
This. Well, it was like, this is the one for you, and I was like, I'm not celebrating that this happened.
No, well,
do you know what I mean? I'm not like, oh god,
yeah.
I'm glad this happens for my entertainment.
Pause, popcorn.
But there is an element of my brain that's a bit like, why am I listening to this? Like, this is going to stick with me for the rest of the day. It's bad
and longer.
And now everyone else out there has to hear about it. Womb Raider.
You know there were people who paused this video, went out there and searched Womb Raider.
It's fucking mad, isn't it?
That's kind of what I've been thinking about though over the last week. A lot of freaky people. Life makes people go a bit crazy. So the creation of life in pregnancy and those kind of things sort of turns people a little bit mad. People, obviously, and I feel terrible for people who can't have kids. There are some people who that turns in a very dark way. It can really impact people because their whole life dream is around that. You almost get like some sort of semi-god status when you're pregnant in society. Do you know what I mean? Like, you really get held up as like protect this person because they had sex.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what we're saying.
Yeah, it's like what Chris Rock says. Even roaches have kids. Like, you're not, this isn't that amazing in the way that some people make it out to be.
And it is amazing on a personal level, but not a macro level.
And that's it. And I think that's what people forget, isn't it? Is like...
Who gives a fuck? It's your fucking life. Go and live it.
I think there's an ego side of people where they feel like they're passing down their essence into a child, and that's an extension of themselves.
It's like extender.
I think my dad, to be honest with you, there was a part of him, hence calling me Brian and him being called Brian. Like there was a lot. A part of it was like, chip off the old block. He's a bit of me,
Right.
And I think there's a lot of men who get that feeling as well of like, this is me leaving a piece of me on this planet to carry on how great I am.
Yeah.
And it's bollocks.
Yeah, in a way.
To me, the idea should be like a little different to that.
You're talking about like the egoic drive.
That's the ego side of it is bollocks. I think
it's quite futile.
Having kids should be about a product of the relationship that you have with the person, because when you start doing it for other reasons, A, you're not in a team, and B, you're kind of condemning that kid having a lot of fucking issues. Which
we're also finding is like another big issue here. Like, there are a lot of people
when you don't do it for the right reasons.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't know if there's ever the perfect time to have kids. Some people might come to a point where they feel they're ready to have kids, but there's never a perfect time because you can never be fully braced.
There's definitely bad times.
Absolutely.
If your age has teen in it, you bad choice.
Unless you are in a very solid Christian family where the mortgage is fully paid, keep doing the anal. Just keep shoving it up the old arse.
Shove it up your arse.
Yeah.
Or at least come in the arse.
Right, yeah.
Finish in it.
And we're not advocating for it, we're just saying. And if it's
or
forced,
on our back if you have to.
Although I think that's what a lot of Christian men do.
Okay, we're getting back to Madeira. I do apologise because I took us on another detour. So,
what a detour, though.
Madeira.
It's great. It's a beautiful island.
Multiple hotels.
Nice hotel. But when we get there, Flu goes, right, listen, there's only a couple of days left in the holiday. I know there's a couple of these day trips you want to do. Like, you want to do something adventurous, like, you know, that feels adventurous.
Oh, so she's going to allow you to nip off there while she chills?
While she chills.
This is so funny, the way she treats you like her son.
No,
you didn't realise that.
Sure.
Though. The way she was like, right, I know you want to do this. Go on, get up there.
She was telling me for the whole holiday.
But make sure you're where I can see you.
I basically had booked this tour, and I got back and I went to the hotel and I went, listen, I need some cash to be able to pay the tour the next day. The guy goes, listen, we book this tour all the time. Don't worry about it. You get to the tour bus and you just say, I just need to go to a cash machine on the way. And I'm like, don't really like doing that. Can I go to a cash machine? So I go to a cash machine. The cash machine's out of money. Shit. So I actually walk to another cash machine. Cash machine is closed. So I get up the next day and I go to the spot where I'm meant to meet the tour guides. I'm waiting for 20 minutes. But what I don't want to do is leave this spot and go to another place to get to a cash machine. But I'm waiting for 20 minutes and the bus that is there to pick me up is 20 minutes late.
People in these countries, though, they're a bit...
laissez-faire.
Yeah, they're not stressing out about being on time or...
Well, you'd be surprised. But the point is, right, I don't go and get the money because I think, okay, well, this nice hotel has told me it'll be fine, don't worry about it. I call the place and I go, listen, I'm at the place, I'm worried I'm going to miss the tour. And they go, no, don't worry about it. Obviously, the bus has got to go around all these hotels and pick up all these people. You'll probably just be one of the last on the list. So anyway, the bus pulls up about 20 minutes after it's meant to pull up. And off hops at the front a man who's no taller than Rory, so diminutive.
A shorter man.
Yeah.
With all due respect.
Whips his cap off and he's bald. Glasses. I could just tell there was something a bit off about him. He had the same demeanour, to be honest, of my old flatmate with the gun.
Oh.
Something's a little off here.
So for those who don't remember, Lawrence had a lunatic for a flatmate once upon a time, a neighbour from hell.
So anyway, I go over to him and I go, hey, how you doing? I'm Lawrence, I'm here for the tour. Listen, got back late last night, couldn't find an open cash machine. I had 25 euros, but the tour was 45 euros. I know, we're getting a little spending on holiday, but it's lovely, right? I go, I can give you the 25 euros now as like I'm taking the tour as a down payment, and then we'll just go to a cash machine and get some more cash out. And he was like, no, pay me all at once. And I was like, okay, fair enough. All right, fine. So anyway, we go and the bus drives you a long way because
sounds like hell already.
It's a minibus, so there's about 12 to 15 people on it. Most of them quite old, I'll be honest. And I looked down at my brochure and I thought, some of you aren't going to make it through this. Some of you
Everest.
Some of you will die.
Everest.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it.
And most of these people at this point, they're a little too big for the small minibus seats. So you sort of have to squeeze down through the middle of the minibus.
Oh, God almighty.
Only the back seat is there. So it's cast me as the guy who sits on the back seat. Sort of the black sheep of the family, if you will. Halfway up the mountain, we get to a cash machine.
Brilliant.
The guilt's been building up at the back.
I'm a thief, yeah. Everyone else has paid. I'm getting this for free.
Not everyone else had paid. There was another blonde, middle-aged woman who hadn't paid. Anyway, we get out and I go over, I put I've got a travel card that lets you withdraw stuff. This machine just rejects it. It just won't take this travel card.
Oh, the travel card didn't work.
Yeah.
Have you got anything else?
No, not on me at this point.
Oh, you didn't bring a regular card?
No, I've got a regular card, but I just thought, well, the travel card surely will work.
Oh.
Right?
Oh, that was a big fuck up on your part.
Well, not a massive fuck up, but I'm like...
I mean, you're relying on some random ass travel card being accepted everywhere. Right. What were you thinking?
No. So here's my point is, what I forgot was in my bag, I'd actually put my full wallet, right? So anyway, I go back to the guy and I go, listen, I've got a travel card and it doesn't work. Is there another cash? Bear in mind also, this is a cash machine halfway up a mountain.
This guy's going to be so fucked off.
So this guy is fucked off, right? But at the same time, I'm on his bus and I can't get back without that. So, and I know my intention is to pay. I'm not going to...
He's looking for a free ride up this mountain.
Yeah, exactly. Why the fuck would I look for a free ride up a mountain, right?
Yeah. He wants to see the sights free of charge.
Exactly. So anyway, this guy looks at me and he goes, you're using it wrong. Bear in mind, there's got to be an element of customer service here. At this point, I was sort of panicking in my mind because I was a bit like...
I'm halfway up a mountain.
Halfway up a mountain. I've really fucked this guy off. And at that point, I haven't thought, I've got the other wallet in my bag. I'll go and try that. He looks at me and I go, why don't you come to the cash machine and see? Because another woman's used her card and come out and there was money, right? Maybe I'm doing it wrong because it's in Portuguese. So I was like, maybe I'm doing it wrong. You just have to show me. So we go back over, put it in. And we try every option, you know, where you can convert from pounds to euros, euros to pounds, all that kind of thing. And the guy's just looking at me and he goes, oh, you bought a card as shit. And I'm like, what? I literally look at him and I'm like, does customer service exist in this place, right? He's exasperated at this point, right? So I'm like, listen, when we get back into town, because we're staying in the city, there's loads of card machines there that I know it works with. So we'll just go to that, right? And he's like, yeah, fine, okay. So we get back on the bus. And the guy basically then starts to give a little speech. Right? not about finance, right? Not about finance.
Okay.
But it's clear that
it's directed at you.
It's clear that it's directed at me. Right? And he starts off with like, for those of you who have paid, fantastic, great, good to have you on the bus. And I'm like, okay, brilliant. And then he says everything in French, but he's clearly loving himself. Like, he's clearly a man with a bit of a chip on his shoulder. Do you know what I mean?
He literally goes up a mountain every day. Like, there's
not every day, once a week. But, so he refuses to do it any other day but Tuesday. So I was lucky enough to get on this Tuesday tour, right?
This man is a real ego, given his job is the most basic job.
You're literally walking. You're a mountain goat. We get up to what is like a weather station just below the peak, so that what we feel is we've walked to the top of the mountain. I'm like, this is genius. Brilliant. Okay, we'll do a short walk now with all these old people. Get to the top. Snap, snap. Back we go. Brilliant. Okay. The guilt will only sit with me for a matter of hours.
And you'll have the pictures forever.
And these are great pictures. So anyway, I'm wandering around. And he goes, go in there, grab yourself some sandwiches and stuff and some drinks. You will need drinks and sandwiches. I'm like, I've already got a cheese sandwich in my bag. And I bought some cherries. Fantastic. Who doesn't want cherries on a walk? Didn't have much water though. So I go in and I buy some water with cash. Little do I know, old Hawkeye over there has cottoned on to the fact that I've used cash to buy the water.
Oh, now he's got cash.
Right. So I turn around to him doing this.
Oh, using money.
And at this point, I haven't clocked this because in my mind, we've had this interaction where I've gone, listen, I've got 25 euros here. Should you want it, it's yours. And then I just go without water. This guy's looking at me. He's looking at me like,
son of a bitch.
So anyway, I'm none the wiser. I'm like, hey, good to see you. How you doing? Walk off. This is where the seething begins on the trip. I go and ask him a question. He sort of just doesn't, he sort of goes, oh, I'll talk about that in a little while. So I'm like, okay, fair enough. His demeanor's really off. Like, but not just off with me, off with everyone in the group. Apart from the two hot French girls.
Were they like...
They weren't hot, but they were attractive to him.
In the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of nowhere. And Madeiran people aren't ugly people, but like, you know, he's a 50-something-year-old man.
They're different as well, yeah. Right. Everyone loves a bit of difference.
And also he can speak a bit of French, so he can sort of flex his languages on them. And, you know, you can sort of see... It made me mildly uncomfortable.
He's like, do you like my bus?
It wasn't even his bus. But it made me mildly uncomfortable to watch him interacting with them because these women are a bit like, oh, yeah, okay, great. Okay, cool.
You old-ass man.
Yeah.
Thank you for looking at my boobs.
I then realised I'd come out in basketball shorts and a long-sleeve shirt.
Just in case a game breaks out.
If we get to the fourth quarter, guys, then this is going to go down.
I'm going to slam dunk on the top of this mountain, boy.
Right, but I hadn't really bought walking shoes or any of this shit. I just bought... normal Jordans.
In case you were wondering.
No, but you then get a context of the way that my shoes look compared to the professional rambling crew that it turns out I'm with. You know the little backpacks that have got straws that you can sip from?
Oh, they were ready.
These motherfuckers are ready,
okay,
right?
This is like sunny Everest. Then.
And I'm looking around going...
I don't understand though. I thought you were just going for a little jaunt, a little...
As did I and some of the old people in the group. But these guys suddenly get very serious about this, all right? And it's like, listen, guys, we're going to head 3 kilometers that way, 2 kilometers that way. There will be ladders on the way, and then 2 kilometers down, 3 kilometers to the finish. I'm like, well, it's like 12 kilometers. But
you're a very fit guy, but...
Some of the old people, you will not make it. You're going to die on the way, Irishman who's come for 3 days. So... At this point, some of the English people in the group, there's murmurs amongst the English.
Were you aware of...
were you?
Yeah.
Was this sold to you in this way at the desk at the hotel?
I thought we were just getting a fucking bus right at the top. We're going to have a little look afterwards.
Right, there's a guy with a fucking knee brace on over here. I'm basically... He's got a knee brace. He looks at me and he goes, I don't think I'll make it. I was like, I don't think you will either, buddy. But he's like, I'll try. And I was like... Okay, fair enough.
But whose responsibility is he if shit goes wrong, you know what I mean?
Well, clearly not little Baldy at the front.
Yeah, every man from Sal at that point.
Everyone's gearing up. I've got nothing. I'm literally just standing there in my shorts. But also, I don't feel cold, and I don't feel in immediate danger that it's going to rain anytime soon. I'm looking around, I'm going, these guys are taking this so fucking seriously.
Okay.
You guys are getting way too into this. But I'm a little bit worried that maybe I'm not prepared for the walk. Andre has got a blue cap on, strides out. Like, this guy is setting a pace that even professional,
hikers,
like yourself, mid-level walkers, right?
Thank you.
Probably couldn't keep up with.
This must be why he only does it once a week.
Right, yeah, he's absolutely knackered
He
by the other
slicks
end.
for the rest of it.
Yeah, so he sets quite the pace. And who's he setting the pace with? That's right, the French. So the English people left at the back, right? And at this point, I start to feel a little affinity with my fellow countrymen.
Oh, yeah, you are quite nationalistic.
In a way. I look around and I see I see some old eyes looking up.
Stiff up the lip, guys.
They're looking a little bit concerned at this point.
Okay.
So anyway, I'm like, great, we'll bond as a group and we'll catch Andre up. I'm the tallest in the group by a long way, so I'm like, I can see him. Don't worry, we're all good. I look over the hedge.
He's not really being majorly responsible by dividing the group up.
Yeah, and it's at this point I've sort of realised Andre isn't your normal tour guide.
He just wants to get the fucking top, turn around, get the fuck back home.
Absolutely. It is a very small path with drops on either side of it, right? My legs were shaking a little bit when we went across one or two of these bits because it was quite slippy. Like it looked like at any point some of the gravel could just sort of come away and you just
But this is the thing. I've seen you run. You can belt out 10k like it's nothing.
I can
right?
hike with the best of them.
Okay, so, and you're a tall guy, light body weight. You know, you're made for this shit. Essentially,
Yeah, absolutely.
These fat old people must be like, "What the fuck were we getting ourselves into?"
A lot of them complaining at this point. And I see it here as my role. Andre has let the group down. All right, we've paid here for. And
well, some of us have.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I have the intention of paying. Right, I have the intention.
You're earning your keep in a different way here.
Right.
Yeah.
But also, I'm pissed off because I've come for a tour, and if I come on a tour, I don't just expect you to bus us there and then go to. By the way,
fend for yourself.
But not only that, yeah, I'm fending for myself. But not only that, there is.
I mean, literally, mountain lions must be knocking around anywhere.
Surely.
Yeah.
And on either side, there's a sheer drop. And
this is mental.
I'm there going, I want a tour. There are people in the group going, I came for a tour. I came to get tour guided. And we're watching other groups where the tour guide is giving a lovely speech at different points. Andre's just off.
He's just giving speeches about people not paying.
And he is. He's sort of pissed at this point. At this point, I think, let's have a bit of fun with this. Andre's gone somewhere else. I'll jokingly do another tour.
Oh, so you decided to take the piss out of him.
So Andre's nowhere near within earshot of us. And I sort of every now and again go, anyway, that's a little bit of heather there. I don't know if you've noticed that, guys. It's a cool bit of history about that, but we'll never know. A couple of people are laughing, like, the guy's sort of making up jokes with me. And there's another guy from Essex who's sort of going, no, this is properly out of order, actually, mate. Like, we should get a fucking tour here. Do you know what I mean? Like, we need a tour. We're on the side of a mountain. I didn't come for nothing. And the Irish guy was annoyed, but he was so mild-mannered that he wouldn't say it. But he kept going, yeah, I wasn't sold this at the front desk like this, Anyway, we start talking about each other's lives and stuff. The Irishman being very affable, lovely guy. He's laughing through the pain. And I turned to him, I've got real respect for the fact you're just carrying on with this. Weirdly, and this is what I realised, you're a moron, Laurence. I went alone on this tour. Everyone else is with someone. The other couples, I'm going, where are you from? Oh, you're from Hungary and you're from Essex. Well, you just got married. Where are you from? Okay, so that's cool. So you guys met in Poland or wherever? Right. The Irish people, very, very affable. And then they go, where's your wife from? Oh, my wife's from Kosovo originally. She came over during the Kosovo War in 97 and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And somehow we get onto like religion.
Oh, God.
Happen to mention that my wife's a foreigner and a Muslim. I don't hear a peep out of the guy for the rest of the tour. And if at any point I try to interact with him, he just doesn't acknowledge that I'm even there.
Wow. Most racists are better at hiding it.
Yeah.
that's what I
think
would say.
His whole concentration was on the knee at this point. So this just oozed out at that point. He was pretty angry, though. So I sort of read that and went, okay, I mentioned the Muslim foreign thing. Won't mention that again. Won't come back to you. Leave you alone for a little while. So anyway, we get to the first clearing, which is beautiful. This is amazing. Look, we're in the middle of all these mountains. God's splendor is in front of us. What has the Lord given us? This is incredible.
Oh, Allah.
Allah's splendor is in front of us.
He's blessed us.
And I just shout, Allahu Akbar. No, so I'm there just...
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, right.
Is that what they say?
I mean, that's a lovely way of putting it. It's not quite
How do you
close.
say it?
Alhamdulillah, I think.
Alhamdulillah.
I think it's that. At this point, I'm sitting down, having my cheese sandwich, taking in the splendor of the scenario. And I'm like, I don't want to... Because the tour guide just keeps moving on without telling people we're moving on. So I'm always keeping a little eye on him across. There's another guy who was a tour guide immediately behind us, having a chat with him in hushed tones and doing this. at me. And so originally I'm like, that's weird. Like, what can he possibly be pointing at me for? And then the small guy starts walking over to me. So I think, okay, this is best to stand up for this.
Oh, you get the vibe.
And I've got the cheese sandwich and I've just finished it. And so I'm sort of like just dusting my hands off. And he comes over and he goes, listen, I've given you 2 opportunities to pay now. If you don't pay here, you can leave the group. Bit of a weird thing to say. Like, you give me 2 opportunities to pay. Really, you've given me 1 opportunity to pay because we went to 1 cash machine.
But he has already agreed to pay at the end.
Yeah.
So you can't change the rules. Now you're up the fucking mountain.
In my mind,
fucking
at this
bush over there. What do you want me to do?
I have a decision to make. Either I go back at him, because he's saying this like that far away from my face, like really getting in my face.
On his tiptoes.
On his tips. Yeah, like sort of getting up. And I sort of go, that's very weird because I've been to 1 cash machine with you and that didn't have any cash in. You know you're going to get the money. And he goes, and my friend over there told me what you said. You can leave the group and go ahead of everyone else. And I went, and that's weird. That sounds quite threatening to me. And he goes, oh. And I'm like, oh, right, okay. So I go, so you're threatening me on the side of a mountain now. Is that what this has come to? Like, do you want me to go to a cash? Literally, I use your line. I was like, do you want me to go to a cash machine here? What do you want me to do? So this guy starts backing off and starts walking away and just starts walking away from me almost like, this guy. And starts doing that in front of the whole group. He starts going, this guy. And I'm like, no, you want to do stuff in hush tones, you might as well do it in front of everyone then. What did you just say? And he went, well, it doesn't matter what I said. Well, I was like, I think it does. You're a tour guide here. You're meant to be guiding us up the side of a fucking mountain. What is it? What have you got to say? And he was like, we don't need to do this. We don't need to do this. So anyway, I turned to the other tour guide and I go, what did you say to him? And he goes, oh, it doesn't matter. Just know, us tour guides, we stick together. And I was like...
I forgot about the brotherhood of tour guides.
I forgot that I was working with Star Command.
Well, it's ironic that you lot stick together because this fucker's left us behind for the majority of this fucking trip.
It was exactly what I said. I literally went, you did more of a tour than this guy did for me. I heard more from your tour than the other guy. And the guy is like, well, we've got to stick together with this kind of stuff.
They're not smart people, are they?
But it annoyed me.
Every week they're going up and down a fucking mountain saying the same shit.
By the way, you don't have to navigate this. It's all one path.
Well, I mean, it's quite clearly, yeah.
You could have dropped me off in a taxi.
How am I going to guide people through this treacherous terrain?
Right.
It's one fucking road.
It's one road. There was one point where it forked, and it was quite clear, even to my untrained hiking mind, that we don't go down the bit where the steps aren't quite right, right? We go back up to there. So anyway, he just stops talking and just walks off. So he just starts doing the tour again. The Essex guy straight over. You've dealt with that really well then, mate. If he got in my face like that, I'd have just fucking punched him. And I was like, right, so I've got someone else who's on my side. The Irish guy doesn't really acknowledge it, keeps walking, but he keeps bitching about his knee now. My sympathy for him is completely gone.
I'm going up this hill.
Yeah.
And me and my Muslim wife are going to enjoy the rest of our holiday.
Yeah, and we'll probably make some more Muslims as well, mate. So yeah, think about that while you're fucking wanking off over your knee. The guy began to make a bit of a point himself where he would now stop and actually do a tour.
Oh.
So every time the tour would stop, I'd go, oh, a tour. Fantastic.
Now you were on your...
I'm on it.
So
you don't piss me off like that, right?
Yeah.
But I'd also make a very pointed point every time we'd stop in the middle of nowhere and go, just to be clear, is there a cash machine around here? We get back down.
Okay.
And the tour has sort of soured at this point. Because
it sounds really bad. The vibes sound terrible.
No one has received a tour. And since I've raised the point in front of the rest of the group, the rest of the group has sort of gone, oh yeah, we haven't really had a tour, have we? Like, we were sort of expecting a tour here. We go halfway back down the mountain and the guy goes, right, it's time to pay up to me. At this point in my head, I'm weighing it up. Do I really want to pay you now? You've sort of given me a situation here where I don't really want to, like, you've not given me the tour I was expecting and the transaction I was going to do.
This isn't worth the money now.
This isn't worth the money.
You've actually been one of the few people who gets to experience the tour and go, do I want to pay
45 euros doesn't seem like value.
Yeah.
Right?
Because, no, not at all.
Right.
You could have done all this on your own.
I could have done all of it. And everyone else had come to consensus in the group. I go to a cash machine and my card works there. I get the money out. And I come back over and while I'm counting the money out, I'm like, by the way, you're lucky you're getting anything here because that was one of the worst tours I've ever been on. And the way you spoke to me, like, it's just not customer service. And he goes, I don't know what you mean. Get back on the bus. I'm like, no, you spoke to me like shit. And you were aggressive on the side of the mountain. And then you didn't give us the rest of the tour. And I'm still paying you full price. And other people have paid you full price for this. At which point the Irish guy pipes up and goes, "You don't speak for me." I turn to him and I literally go, "Yeah, I'm quite clear about that. Don't worry about that, buddy. You sit down, all right?" So he sits down, which pisses his wife off. So his wife then goes, "Well, don't." And I was literally like, "I'll deal with you later."
Wow.
So then another woman in the group comes out and she goes, "Listen, I don't like conflict."
Oh.
and I was like,
I do feel sorry for her.
yeah. And I was like, and I sort of looked at her and I was like, "What?" She went, "Clearly you're in the wrong here. Just pay him the money and we'll go back. And I was like,
God, Laurence McKenna.
Now you've stuck your oar in. Do I reply to you and sort of go nuclear here or not? And I was like, and I made the decision not to in that moment.
I think you did the right thing.
I did give her a parting word. But the point is, like...
Oh, what did he say?
Well, we'll get to that. We're still arguing because she goes, you should let this drop. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? Maybe. Bygones be bygones. Your money's there. Enjoy it, whatever. He gives me €5 back. But anyway, as I'm getting back on the bus and he's sliding the door over, he's going, "Anyway, as everyone can see on the bus, I'm absolutely right and I've not done anything wrong here." Door closes like that. And I'm just at the back of the bus like, this is fucking bizarre, man. Like,
did it make you annoyed when he tried to have the last word?
Yeah.
Because you love a last word.
Of course I love the last word. So I've got no other chance to have the last word. I get off the bus at the other end to drop me back at the hotel. And he turns to me, "Just so you know, I know the people at the tour company. And they like me."
Ooh.
Wow.
He showed weakness there.
That woman pipes up again and she says, I can't remember what she says, but she basically says, like, "I don't like conflict." And she's sort of having to go at him, but and I'm sort of standing there watching. So I stop her and I go, "Sorry, do you work for this tour company?" And she goes, "No." And I went, "I don't understand what this has to do with you then. You don't need to be speaking in this situation. It's got nothing to do with you." And she just goes, "Oh my goodness." And I was like... And I just went, exactly. And then the guys shut the door and they just drove off. But the whole time they drove off, he was just doing this. He was just going. So anyway, I called the tour company every day since, and I still haven't received a refund. Wow. But what I have done is made their lives living hell.
Does that make you satisfied?
Yeah, I've wasted, like the other day, the guy on the line said to me, "You're just wasting time here." And I went, "Yeah." And I said, "What you're doing is you're missing calls that are trying to book with you right now." And the guy went, "Yeah, so can I hang up?" And I went, "No." And we just sit on the phone. And we just sit there and I go, "So when's your boss going to talk to me?" And he goes, "Oh, I don't know." But this has been going on for almost like 4 or 5 weeks now. Where I'll just call and basically just go, "Hey, me again. Is there anything that has changed in the situation? Is your boss..."
What they're going to do? There's nobody else on the fucking island who want to do that job.
No, that's the problem.
So in their head, they're like, he's shit, but he's all we've got. Fuck it.
But he was just so rude, but not only to me, to everyone else.
Oh, he's an absolute twat.
And everyone was saying this in the group.
Look at his job. They go up a hill, go down a hill.
Right.
Go up a hill, go down a hill. Once a week, a little bit of advice.
Right, go on.
From personal experience.
Yeah.
There are some people in life who you have to walk away from. And even if they think they've won, you have to remember they're stuck in their life with them.
Absolutely.
And he is stuck in his head. You have a great life.
Absolutely.
And he is stuck in his little shit life.
No, but I think he has a good life relatively.
No, he doesn't.
But
He doesn't. If this guy appreciated what he had, his attitude would not be so miserable.
And that was part
for
of my
no
problem.
reason. But this is the thing. When people hit you with that attitude, in my opinion anyway, in life, it's because they're so not content with their own lives. That's why, like on the tube, you see so many crazy people having these outbursts. They're not really angry at each other for something that's just happened on the tube.
Exactly.
They're angry at their lives. That's why YouTube comments, no offense, guys, but they're
angry people. Mostly.
People aren't that bothered about some bullshit I've just said on a podcast.
Right.
They're angry at their lives, and I've just literally burst the bubble.
Right.
Like I've said something that's ticked them off, but it's the entire bubble that's pissed them off. It's not me.
And his bubble is that.
But why are you letting them wind you up so much?
No, it was less that it wound me up. It was more that in that moment I was a bit like, I don't want to back down from that guy.
You don't want to be a victim.
I mean? Yeah, I didn't want to be a victim, so I didn't back down. But I didn't also want to be that guy who ruins the tour. And everyone else was sort of coming over to me and going, "Yeah, you know what, you did the right thing there." Like people weren't sort of going, "Fucking hell, that
No, you
guy."
absolutely did the right thing.
I did the right thing, but it was just that one middle-aged woman from Sweden or Denmark or wherever the fuck she was from just pissed me off. And that fucking Islamophobic Irish guy. That made it all the more surreal. I'm on the side of a mountain with an Islamophobe and a tour guide that doesn't want to guide us, who's going, "You need to go to a cash machine now."
It's weird because as I've gotten older, I've had a lot of things said about me in life,
Sure.
and a lot of interactions with people which haven't gone great, you know?
No shit.
And I've become so good at going.
Okay.
Yeah, like I let things go now so much. Like, don't get me wrong. It was different for you because that in-person interaction, if someone got in my face, I'd still knock them out. Don't get me wrong. But what I mean is post-event, I'm a lot better at just disregarding and going, hey, you know what? That cunt has to be miserable with themselves for the rest of their life. I get to walk off and concentrate on me.
So it's sort of become a little playful thing that I have with that company.
Oh,
now.
I can tell you're enjoying that side of it.
It's more like, originally I would just sort of call them and then I'd be doing something else, but I'd just be like on speakerphone. So I'd just be getting through the emails.
Playing a bit of FIFA.
Or the point is I'd do the emails and just sort of go, so what's the weather like in Madeira today? And just try and keep them on for as long as I could. And then when they would clock that I was trying to keep them on for as long as they could, I go, yeah, you've just missed a load of calls for whatever, to book whatever tour. Just give me my refund. And they just won't give me this refund.
The funny thing is the amount of money you've probably spent phoning them up will be far more than...
Joke's on them, I've got a bolt on. The point is, though, never give up on a refund.
I like it.
A lot of people out there will be going, no, Lawrence is the cunt here.
No,
Don't try and reframe this in the comments. Do you know what I mean? This is a story where, I don't come off well. I didn't have money. But in the end, the guy got paid. We made an agreement. He could not let me on the bus. And I'd have just gone, fair enough, I've not come with money. That's my fault. Stick to your side. Andre, who I call Smelly Andre in the email. The email I complained with, I said, a small man who has a distinctive smell about him, which is not pleasant. And weirdly, the woman who read the email and then I called the next day, said it was a very funny email.
Okay.
Which was a small win.
Because you love an audience, even if that's just one person.
Yeah. I could probably find the email.
Another thing that people have asked us to talk about, TikTok is the place for the most talentless people in the world. Some people are talented, but the most talentless go to TikTok.
But there's a couple of talented people mixed in.
Mate, the biggest TikToker in the world doesn't speak. Say no more. That
Is
proves
that the guy who goes...
That proves my point. No offense to the guy. Good going. Good on you. No hate. Yeah.
We should try that.
But the point is that's what a shit app this is. The talent-wise, you don't even have to speak to be the biggest thing on the app. Prime proven.
But it's kind of got to be, it's almost good that he doesn't speak because that means you can get an audience from South America, Europe,
yeah,
Africa,
but whatever.
North America,
the point is
like, smart.
No, but he's mildly creative. But I'm just saying.
That sounds like an indictment.
It's TikTok. It's a load of shit. So anyway, they've got this 51-year-old guy in there, whatever he is.
He's 51.
This poor man, right? And I have been watching fighting from as long as I can remember now. And at the weigh-in, this old man, he looked in good shape for an old man. Got to give him credit. He really, and he's trying to defend his daughter. And we've got
He isn't though, is he?
Well, they're cashing in on a drama as well. There's a lot of that as well going on. And look, we're talking about them, so something was achieved.
Will they regret that in a way, though?
I don't know, but he's since challenged Greg Paul.
Sorry, is Greg Paul actually going to fight him?
Where is he? Greg Paul. Here we go.
Listen, Simple Simon, I understand why you got the simple part in there. I'll fight you, but look, you see that?
Yeah, he's done.
I think my arm is bigger than your calf. Here's the deal. I'll fight you bare knuckle or MMA. Send me the contract so you can quit your fucking lying. And your daughter cannot be in the arena because I don't want her to see you get the fuck beat out of you, you scrawny little bitch.
Smart.
Here's the thing, right?
Greg Paul can speak all this shit. He's now a multi-millionaire based on both of his sons.
But this is the thing. Greg Paul...
kind of back him.
He's the kind of guy who he always seems to be like chopping wood and stuff. Like,
absolutely,
he is
he knows how to restart a motor. And
like, Look, I get this Simon fella's thought. You know what? I'll have another one because it was a shit performance. Okay,
it's simple.
But the people organising this event who let that young kid beat the living fuck out of that old man. This is why people die in the ring, though. Like this.
I thought this was going to be funny. You've sort of taken this down a dark route.
Honestly, I just remember going, fucking hell, mate.
I do remember.
And that kid didn't even have technique or anything. He was just leathering him, like beating the shit out of him.
Yeah, it was basically, I think, whoever landed first in that fight and landed a big punch would sort of stun the other
I don't know. I don't know if that was the case because at the weigh-in, I've seen hundreds, thousands of weigh-ins. This old man, God bless him, when he got up on stage and he looked in this kid's eyes, and I seen the life drain out of this man, and he was like, oh, shit. Fuck, I'm getting fucked up tomorrow.
The reality hit him.
He looked terrified. And the fact that he still got in the ring anyway, I got respect for you, bro. Like, fair enough, you're doing this for your daughter or whatever.
What does this mean for his
daughter? I have never
just...
seen someone more scared and still get in the ring. Like, we've seen lots of last-minute pullouts in the UFC, and Chael Sonnen has gone in depth and said, like, there's a lot of people who just fucking bottle it, you know. And like,
really?
Oh, yeah, because it overcomes you sometimes. You're like, fuck this. You know, Donald Cerrone's talked about it. I was in there with McGregor. I thought, what the fuck am I doing in here?
Right.
Well, I don't want to be here. So credit to him, but maybe not Greg Paul, bro. Like, that, in fact, maybe not anyone.
He's just gone for the big money,
how about just stop?
He's just having to capitalize, isn't he? Because he knows if I ride this, I can make the most money I'll make out of this scenario.
I get it, but it's
bare
just like,
knuckle?
mate, you're not a fighter, though. This is the thing. Even fighters, like, people are questioning right now, like Derek Chisora. Like, Derek Chisora is like the toughest motherfucker in boxing, basically. And people are like, you know, should he retire now? Like, I mean, how many of these fights can he handle? You know, he's too tough for his own good. But he's a pro fighter in his 40s. This guy is just a normal guy in his 50s. Normal. There's a lot of men in their 50s who still think they still think they're 20, and I get it, right? But even me, right? I'm 35 years old. I can feel. Thank you. I can feel. I did a heavy bench press the other day. I got up afterwards. I was like, fuck me, that's harder than it used to be. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, 25 to 35 is a difference. 50. Don't think for 1 second you could take punches at 50 anymore. Like, you will get, like, people like, even John Fury, like, people like them, like, it's a dangerous game to be playing when you get older because you're so much easier hurt.
So it's funny you mentioned John, because I was kind of going to bring John into this.
John's a unicorn. John's probably the toughest man alive, to be fair.
And probably will always be one of the toughest men
literally,
ever to have lived.
He's the guy who they break in and then all of a sudden John kills them.
You know that time, though, that John said, I will fuck your girlfriend in front of you, or whatever it was?
He said Tommy would.
Tommy
do
would
it like a dog.
Right. Now, with the TikTok thing, is that what happened there? Because he defended his daughter's honor, and he lost. So does the guy now have sex with his daughter? Like, how does that work?
His daughter also fought on the event, and she was a savage. She's hard.
She's a maverick.
She's tough.
Right. Was she the one who was meant to fight Astrid?
Yeah, but she didn't end up fighting or whatever. But this blonde girl, I mean, I'm so clueless, but she beat the fuck out of some girl, and I was like,
wow.
I don't know, like, you have that, like, stallion energy about you.
Right.
Like, you kill a woman.
Really?
Yeah.
She didn't look that way in the press conference. But then, so why does she need a dad to defend her? Surely it would have been better if she'd fought the guy.
This whole thing's fucking mental.
What sort of concerns me a little bit now, someone said this the other day, like, they were like, look, it won't be the direct influence of social media, but it'll be the kind of things that make you think in a certain way. It's just the abundance of sexual and aggressive content on social media that just makes me feel a bit uncomfortable at this point. So I was looking at Snapchat the other day, right? And I might sound a bit off because of this. If you scroll through this page, I've never really used Snapchat, and I'd love to work with them just to diversify the content. It's all naked women. Look at that. And I've not even clicked on any of these.
Sex sells, Lawrence.
And I get that.
And if you want any proof of that, if you go on Instagram or something like that, and we're talking about, you know, the gym, and you see very tight leggings and people doing a lot of exercises that are not bum related, maybe they're doing their back, you will see the arse first, front row and center more than anything. And the camera is, people can be doing their triceps.
Still doing
cameras on the arse, you know. People know what they're doing.
Are they bad at framing, maybe?
People know what they're doing, you know what I mean? And by all means, if you want to show off your butt, show off your butt. But let's not act like that's not happening. I don't think it gives anyone the right to comment anything vulgar in the comments. Absolutely. But I also think you should not be shocked and appalled when your arse is front row and center on almost every video and you get men commenting about it because it's right fucking there. You can't play dumb. So stop acting like you're shocked by this.
That's what we found quite interesting when we did the sort of the pregnancy reveal, was a lot of people suddenly felt that they were able to say to me, I'm surprised that you had that in you.
I thought that your photo was very tasteful, though.
No, but what I mean is that I was like, a lot of people, I think, saw me as someone who's not very sexual. So they were like, oh, we didn't know that you were capable of impregnating someone.
That's
but then
so
with
weird.
Flu, they were like, oh, I like pregnant women, blah, blah, blah. They thought even that for them was a come on. They were like, oh, well, she's revealed her body, so now I can say whatever I want. And I found that quite strange. But I feel like there's a scale.
I think they know fine well what they're doing.
Most people are trolls.
Like, obviously, there's the cancer of social media, which is just people are going to abuse you for anything you do. And if you show the slightest bit of skin, a man is going to ask you for pictures of your feet and all of that, right? They're the freaks. We know that they're out there. I've got them. Everyone's got them. You know, I get told to commit suicide on a fucking weekly basis. So
I thought you meant everyone has feet.
You know, or they want pictures of my feet, in which case, 20 quid a go. They're the extreme. And I'm not talking about women should accept that by any stretch of the imagination. I just mean that, you know, lesser comments, but that are still pervy. I'm not saying anyone should accept them, but to act as if they are a shock in some way and be appalled by it when you're presenting your arse in such a way.
I suppose presenting is just enough to say.
And there's some genuine workout chicks out there and men out there who are just training, putting their footage out there and not asking for any extra attention and not necessarily posing in a certain way. Right. But a lot of people... Reeve can't keep his fucking shirt on for 2 seconds.
No, I know, but I wouldn't keep my fucking shirt on if I look like fucking Reeve.
Me too,
you know what
fair
I mean?
play. We fucking hate
myself,
you. We hate you, Reeve. But what I'm saying is a lot of women, specifically, will be posing in as little as possible, and they take the rough with the smooth. They are aware, I'm going to get 2 million followers if I do this, so therefore I'm going to do it, I'm going to cash in, and yeah, I'll accept a few of those crappy comments because I know it's worth what I'm doing in the long run. But it's the ones who act like, oh, how dare you, I'm shocked by it. And it's like, you got your fucking, you know,
there's a bit
we're animals here, you know, like, you know, we're not completely robotic. Like, men are going to notice this stuff. That's what's generating your following. You can't have the 2 million without 1 million people hate following you, or a certain amount of them following you for the sex factor that you've actually grown that off. So just... I just don't like people bullshitting themselves that people are interested in their inspirational comments underneath a picture of their arse where they, you know, all right, well done.
I can understand.
I get frustrated by the fact that we're all not acknowledging the reality of the gym industry, for example, or, you know, sex sells. So let's not act like that isn't a big factor in what this big movement is.
Sure, or at least, yeah. And then there are other nuances to that. Like, for instance, I know it might be that initially the sexy picture gets you to click on the item to buy the item, but actually the item might also be functional.
Damn right.
So you want to look
good
in the item.
And also, within this person, let's say this fictional person who has a big booty who's doing a squat, she also might have some cool shit to say. She might do good workout videos. She might help other women to be inspired. And there might be a hell of a lot of good that she can do with that. But that...
Charity.
I'm also just saying, like, if she uses certain tools to get to that point, then... just don't be shocked that there's a hint of negativity that comes with it.
So you're saying there's like a downside to all of
There's
the
a downside to everything.
See,
and some people just want to act like that should never be a part of life. And it's like, I agree. In an ideal society, yes, but like a lot of Instagram profiles and a lot of social media is just full of, let's pretend you're looking at my gym workout when really this is all about the arse crack.
Sure.
Come on. This is a fucking... I'm sick of fucking people hiding their head in the sand, acting like this ain't fucking reality here. We all know it's happening.
But you know what's
and
weird?
Men too, by the way.
Oh yeah, men are totally...
Men want to be admired too. And there's nothing wrong with women want to be admired or men want to be admired. It's the double standards. It's the unrealistic expectations of people wanting this to be fucking Disneyland.
But on the other side, some people also want those comments. They want to encourage other people to comment. They want to create a bit of a community there.
A positivity,
positivity in a way.
And that's cool.
And that becomes...
But with positivity... There's balance in life.
Yeah.
For every nice person you meet an arsehole. Probably. You know, like... And it's just...
There were 12 people in the tour, and the tour guide was the cunt. We get it.
This is why I never engage on Twitter. This is why I never go back and forth with people on social media, because I'm like, what fucking difference in my life does any of this shit make anymore? Like, the saddest thing is I get why. Like, if I was to engage with every single person who says anything about me, it would be better for views. Sure. And look, when I go off it, I can make some fucking entertaining shit happen, you know, people, fucking hell, the things I come out with. But I'm growing as a person, and I don't want to continue just wasting time bickering with, it's all about ego. It's all about ego, and I'm now in control of my ego to a level, and not that I don't have an ego, but I'm in control of it where I can go, is this really more important than the shit I really care about?
Absolutely.
Because that's what's going to take away from, and that, you know what I mean? Like, it's not. So,
but also your ego can engage in different moments. So in a weak moment, it might still engage.
My ego gets me up in the morning to work hard, to be a better version of myself, and to want to prove to me that I can make better videos, make better podcasts, do good interviews. And even lately, I've been looking at my interviews going, no, I feel like I need to switch it up a bit and be a bit more this and that. You know, I'm always thinking about stuff like that. But my ego isn't worrying about what other people are doing. And I think that's the worst thing, is because they say comparison is the thief of joy, and it is so fucking true. And I feel like a lot of people have come at me in the past because maybe
they compared.
Yeah. Or I feel like coming at someone with a big audience always has paid off in the past. But for me, I just sort of sit there and I just think, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm quite, I'm over all of that YouTube bullshit now, beefs and crap like that. I'm so bored. Like, you know, someone wants to get in my face, I'll quite happily fight anyone. But it's,
and I'm quite aware of that.
This internet shit is not deep. People who are living in the internet, who are so like, this is my identity, this is who I really am. And I kind of like the fact that I had like a true Geordie, because it really helps me sort of in my head go, I'm on camera, all right, this is me being me, but also I'm leaving that afterwards. I can be a bit more like, all right, yeah, that's, they think they know who I am, but if they knew who I really am, if people knew my life story, like my real full life story, I think a lot of people would look at me so differently. They'd be like, fuck me, you got through all of that to get here? Right. What am I having to go at you for? I should be celebrating you.
Or at least like empathizing or sharing.
Yeah, no one would say shit about me if they knew all of the ins and outs, because it's been rough to get to where I've got.
Right.
I'm content with knowing that and going, you did well, bro. And what anyone else says after that is like, I take it all with like good or bad. Nah, okay, thanks.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm concerned about is that kind of, the TikTokiness of things maybe, where you can't, I don't know, I'm not sure how often you can really get into the reality of stuff in a short video.
You can't. That TikTok and Vine and all of these things of the past, they're the worst bit of the internet, in my opinion. It's like the
distraction devices.
It's the fast food of the internet. Sure. It's quick, and just like fast food, it's not good for you. It's
you
not
have too much.
It's not got, generally it's mildly entertaining for that minute, but it ain't gonna really fulfill you with the information and the knowledge that's gonna actually change your life and make you a better person. You might learn a cool dance, you might find something funny, but like, to me, like when I think of good content, I've been watching Emma Kenny's YouTube channel. She does like 2-hour breakdowns of like murders that have happened, but it's this insight that I get from her, of the psychological insight of how people spiral from being from their upbringing right at the point where they absolutely do the most horrible thing. And it makes you understand so much about people. Things like that. I grow from that. I learn from that. TikTok, man. You know what I mean? It's fast food.
Well, it's also interesting about TikTok because you have back to back. You have something that makes you happy, something that makes you sad, something that makes you horny, something that makes you like. There's like, you can be scrolling through a feed and it'll give you 10 different things that want to elicit 10 different emotions.
But it's all very primitive emotions, isn't it?
Yeah, but that is a roller coaster for people to go through, especially.
And that's why we're creating a generation of people who are like ADHD.
Or at least are told they're ADHD.
No,
because
they think they are, but
right.
But our attention spans are dwindling away rapidly. I remember when we met Will Ernie, he couldn't sit through a movie because he was so used to YouTube stuff. Sure. Like when we were hanging out, and
he probably could now, though. Do you know what I mean?
But that's not a criticism of Will. I'm talking about that was Will then. I'm talking about that was Will from YouTube.
Yeah.
TikTok. How are you going to keep people's interest on a movie now that everyone's sitting watching that shit all day?
Yeah, I guess that's partly when...
you and I grew up like watching long-form documentaries, long-form movies. The Godfather's 3.5 fucking hours long, for Christ's sakes. Like, things that have changed my life that I've watched religiously because I've got so much from them. It's just instant gratification, and that is never... That's not That's not how you build a life for yourself. It's how you waste time.
Yeah.
It really is. And that's what TikTok is, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it isn't a powerful tool and it can't be used for good occasionally, but generally it's bullshit.
Yeah, generally you'll find that you won't particularly get much from these things that you're watching, or you'll never act on it, or whatever it is. And most of the time it is just facile. Sort of,
you're watching it, you're like, that was funny.
But also quite, sometimes quite macho, or sometimes quite sort of undermining of everything else that's going on at that point, and quite trend-driven.
I mean, it's completely trend-driven. Yeah.
And people can game that, and it can falsely give them a status in history that they don't necessarily deserve.
I said to Gio, I was like, how's this kid saying he's going to make this fella's daughter suck his dick on the boxing thing? I was like, how's he the biggest thing on TikTok? And he was like, well, because TikTok rewards that behavior of like, if you're a lunatic, people are watching you. And I was like, wow.
And I get that. Like, there are probably people who use TikTok on a daily basis who know how to get the best out of it and all those kind of things. I'm not necessarily talking about those kind of people.
We're not talking about all TikTokers, but, come on.
No.
There's a lot out there that's trash, isn't
I
it?
also just think, like, very often if you think you're above it, or you think you're smarter than it, or you think, like, you've gamed it, then the likelihood is you're probably most vulnerable to it. It's the same people who say to, like, a hypnotist, you can never hypnotize me. I guarantee you those people are the most hypnotizable people.
I think and TikTok is doing that on a mass scale right now.
It's like a hypnosis.
And there's that theory that China are using TikTok in a totally different way to we are, where they're using it to educate the kids. And that they're deliberately making our content trend. That's the dumbest shit possible. Yeah. And everything I'm saying verifies that.
Yeah, exactly.
right now.
Yeah. But like, that's kind of my point, is like, I think at the moment, I'd be interested to know what the audience think about that. It's just like, what gives you something to kind of grasp onto? What is your thing that makes you feel like, okay, I understand where life is going here, or I understand where the world is going, because that can't be a pleasant world to grow up in.
One last thing that people wanted us to comment on. Paddy the Baddie, friend of the show. We had him before he got famous. An amazing speech he gave after his fight about a friend of his who'd committed suicide. And it was like, I think it was the best post-fight speech in terms of most powerful in UFC history.
For sure, yeah.
This is the maddest thing is like, people compare Paddy to Conor McGregor because he's like the fastest rising star since McGregor. He's the first fighter I have seen where he wasn't the main eventer, but he was the main event.
Yeah.
Since McGregor. And this isn't a slight on McGregor, or, well, I mean, maybe it is in a way in terms of how he's misused his fame, but what Paddy did on that night surpassed anything Conor McGregor's ever done in his career, ever. Like, that is so powerful what he did there. It connected with so many people. It went like viral on viral on viral. Like, it was. So people wanted us to talk about how he said, I'd rather have my friend crying on my shoulder than going to his funeral. And I think that it connected. It struck up with a lot of people. It was so from the heart in the heat of the moment. It was not planned. It was not. And to have someone who is a cage fighter, who's tough as nails, saying that and speaking so vulnerably, tears in his eyes, and then afterwards him sobbing on the cage floor as You'll Never Walk Alone plays. It was like, even now just talking about it, goosebumps, you know what I mean? It was like, we had this guy in the studio before this whole thing before he was even signed with the UFC, and him sort of saying, I'm going to take over. And there was no lie, there was a hint of me that I thought, yeah, I mean, you've got a lot of the talents and people are going to connect with you, but like, to imagine that he would take over to this level and become this size of a star in this short spell of time is blowing my fucking mind.
And in many ways he was primed. Like, he had a whole city behind him, he had the perfect background, he's got a good style for that as well, so he's got the perfect kind of... I mean, he's very unique looking, he's very, you'll know that guy, the Paddy wigs and all of that. The wigs are But it's the skill set. Like, I mean, he's an elite level fighter, but like, how good he is sort of yet to be seen, but he's very good. And what I love is he's capitalizing now. So it's not about it's not just about him being a great fighter. It's actually just about him connecting with people and having a relationship.
That's the difference, yeah. And I think that's what Conor kind of did in terms of Ireland, that was for you and that sort of thing. But Paddy is built different to him. He's a real people person.
Yeah,
like he's all about his community and giving back to his friends and his family and all of that. And I'm not saying that There's none of that, and I don't want to talk about Conor too much because
I'm sure Conor's given plenty back, is what
I'm sure he has, but Conor's alienated his whole fan base by acting like a big weirdo. And now me included, like, I don't root for him in a fight. I don't give a shit if he wins or loses.
Is he putting together McGregor-Mayweather 2?
No, that's not happening.
No?
Dana's cancelled that. He said that's not happening. But he's making a comeback. I think it's a pointless exercise because the guy's basically been on holiday for the best part of 6 years.
You saw him stamp on that guy's hat the other day, of course. That was a big...
Because the guy throws a hat at Conor on his birthday bash in Ibiza, and Conor's like, oh, and he throws it on the floor and he's like... Stamps on it in such an aggressive way, and I'm like, bro, like, you're an absolute clown.
Because at one point I think
who are you, man?
Like,
you've got a fucking Lamborghini yacht, for fuck's sake. What do you care about a hat being thrown at you?
Yeah.
And it was thrown softly as well. It wasn't even like...
It was a hat.
It was just like... Hard. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't... And he's getting like all... And I'm like, what are you on? What are you doing? You're supposed to be a world-class fighter, and you're stamping on someone's hat as if like... Ooh, like,
isn't that kind of a mental health problem in itself, though?
Oh, mate, he's got problems. But
but
this
in a different
is,
way.
I would just urge Paddy to just stick with where you're going.
He's lucky he's got Molly and people like that around him. I mean, he seems quite grounded. There's a lot of grounded elements.
Molly's the realest one.
Yeah, and I know there's always those people who always go, like, oh, Paddy had some tweets back in the day or whatever. Like, this is people want to try and get him down or whatever. What he is saying and doing now, I fully think I stand behind. I think what he's saying and being as a figure, like a role model, I think is fantastic.
I feel like so many men immediately would have went, yeah.
You'd almost have, you could feel people reaching for their phone and going, who am I going to text?
Yeah, it's very rare I see something happen and I'm like, oh, fucking hell. You've spoken and the world is listening here.
Right.
And that's so rare because of all of the stars in boxing and fighting, very rarely does that ever happen. Like, I can't think of many times where a fighter has had the world in the palm of his hand. McGregor obviously being one of them, and Paddy off of 3 fights having that level of attention. And part of this is off the back of Conor because he's propelled the UFC into a way he has.
Similar backgrounds in that sense too.
Well, working class kids, but the point is the UFC is so much bigger now because of Conor and other stars, that when Paddy spoke, it went further after a shorter amount of time of him being in the UFC. But it's the content.
Yeah.
It's what he said. I just feel like I hope he follows that road and doesn't get sidetracked by the boozing and the partying and the bullshit and I know he's got a settled life with his woman and all of that. And it's just like, don't lose yourself now, kid. Like, you've got everything where it needs to be. Just focus on the arts.
Well,
you know what I mean?
McGregor was also built up to a point where, like, it was unattainable that any human being could be almost Conor McGregor. So the standards for Conor were so high, right? Paddy has come out the gate quite fallible, and he was clearly a bit rough around the edges in a different way to the way that McGregor was. He's got a bit more of a kind of shaggy look to him, where it's maybe a bit more relatable.
I think Paddy rates himself, but he doesn't love himself the way Conor did.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, there was a razzmatazz and a showmanship that is it was so fucking entertaining. Yeah. I can't take that away from the guy, even though I dislike him now. There's a likability there that is different.
There's a groundedness.
And I just hope he keeps a hold of that no matter what. And I think in Liverpool it's going to happen.
Yeah, weirdly. I feel like there's a lot... I don't know. Liverpool does have a bit of a knack for kind of making people who can stay quite grounded. Like
Steven Gerrard.
Although, obviously... Gerrard had his own thing where he slapped a DJ or something, but apart from that, like,
but people like Robbie Fowler and that, like
Fowler I've interviewed Robbie Fowler not long ago, and he was so aware of being Liverpudlian. Like, there's just something about, if you're aware of where you come from and who you represent and who you are, there's almost a bit of a weight on you to be that. And there were times where I think Conor maybe forgot a little bit about that, or felt like, well, I've risen above that.
Oh, he 100% has acted like he's left that now and he's above it, and in my opinion. And I think that's why if you mention McGregor to an Irish person, they sort of they're like, oh, not that guy.
Right.
Like,
and that wasn't the case before.
He's lost the people 1,000,000% because of the umpteen dumb shit things he's done. And how in love with himself he became, hence the stamping on the hat as if it's a fucking person.
Do you know another thing I think has actually taken a back seat is I've not actually heard that much about men's or just in people's in general, but specifically men's mental health recently. Like, it was really of the moment at one point. Everyone was talking about the mental health. Everyone was talking and sharing those kind of things. And part of it has almost been...
It became a tool for, oh yeah, I've had mental health problems too. And it's like, no, but you're feeling down every now and then. That's different to what people are actually... like.
But do you
know what I mean?
Yeah, but the thing that I think really stamped it out was COVID.
Yeah.
Because what couldn't be acknowledged by a lot of governments, and I'm not saying this from a conspiracy angle.
No, it's a reality angle.
What couldn't be acknowledged by a lot of governments was the mental impact that all of these different things were going to have. The worry about a pandemic. You know, you worry about your family, your dad, your mum, your wife.
I don't think the world has ever been more mentally stressed out.
Right.
In my existence than that moment.
And I don't really feel like a government at any point has kind of addressed, hey, we're in this together in a sense. Like,
ironic.
Yeah, I get that. And that's what I'm saying, like, because we're not. And to add to that, they've almost like pushed it down. So it's like, hey, should we look at men's mental health? No, we'll push that one in a couple of years' time when the suicide rate has gone down, or when this is
1,000,000%. There's no doubt in my mind the suicide rate's gone through the roof because of what went on, because people were communicating. Like, the amount of like physical interaction that people lost out on, that changes how you feel.
Yeah, and also just being alone, being with possibly an abusive partner, being with someone who you don't want to be with in a relationship. All these different kind of things that stopped people's lives. Paddy... I think really spoke to those people.
He reawoke in that
situation. Yeah. And then afterwards, did a fuck the Tories. Like, it sort of works. But like, those two things go hand in hand. And no one's saying fuck conservatism, although some people are. What they're saying is fuck these people who clearly don't care about us, or clearly
have a party when we're in the
absolutely.
Misery. Yeah.
To add to that, we've had so many times where there have been government people who have had a moment. They've been given a microphone that's been put in front of them, not after fighting in a cage, by the way, after having a private car to a studio, and they've gone, say something to the people, and they've just gone, well, I think the important thing we've got to remember here is the economy's got to recover. Paddy spoke to more people in that short speech after being punched in the face and being like, all these different things that you get.
In a scrap.
Yeah, in a proper scrap with a guy who, by the way, is probably the best fighter he's faced so far, those guys he's faced in the UFC.
Yeah.
And then he said that. More people listened to that than anything Boris Johnson has said in a very long time.
He found out about his friend dying the day before the fight.
Absolutely.
And he had to keep it together, and he had a job to do. And that's what being a man is about in many respects, is
maturity.
You have to take on board all this bullshit that you're going through in life sometimes. That's what builds strength in people. If there's one thing that I feel bulletproof from in my life right now, it's knowing what I've overcome. So for him to do that in his life and to be able to handle that moment and then break down in front of the world, it was probably the most powerful thing I've seen in MMA and in boxing, MMA, all of it. It doesn't. Maybe people might think I'm going overboard there, but like, no, this is real. And I think some people in the fight game, they use mental health as a way of
it's good marketing.
It is, and I think that there's a lot of people in influencers and all of that. Mental health. It's like you can just sort of feel the reality from the bullshitters, and that was the realest shit ever that Paddy said that moment, and that's why it connected so well.
It was also partly because it wasn't about him, really.
Oh, not
it
at
was
all.
Actually about someone else, and very often I think, most people they don't want to co-opt someone else's mental health, but he was speaking about something that impacted him, and there were so many people that could relate to that. It's quite impersonal to hear someone go, my mental health's not been good recently, because people sort of go, yeah, everyone's mental health is good right now.
I genuinely think he saved lives. I know that's such a that would have saved lives. There's just not a doubt in my mind. It
Absolutely.
Couldn't have not. It's
it could be one life, and it could be 100. But there's a real issue right now, I think, in Britain, where people don't feel particularly hopeful. And I'd imagine that goes on outside
especially
Britain.
young men. And that's kind of what... I mean, we mentioned Jordan Peterson earlier in the podcast when he talks about young men and how disillusioned they feel. And that's one of the things I do think he gets right occasionally, is like, I think men aren't getting a great rub of it in society at the moment. And that's not to say women are. I just feel like men feel a bit forgotten, and like... It's I have a lot of them reaching out to me, and just hopeless. So that's the feeling, and the mood is so like we can't change our lives anymore. Like the ladder to grow from being a middle class kid or an upper class kid or a working class kid to get up in life and to make something of yourself. It feels like the ladder's been pulled up for these kids, and and Paddy is a one-off. He's an exception. I am a one-off. I'm the lucky one but there's not. It doesn't happen. Do you know what I mean? They feel like, oh, fuck me, I've got a life of this shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
and then you're told there's an impending recession or what they call like a financial crisis or any of these kind of things. It doesn't leave you feeling particularly hopeful, should we say? Well, and I get it, like people go, you've got to deal with the reality of this.
Yeah. Most
Not
people
really.
doing well in the upper echelons, it's daddy's money situations. They've been born into it. Sure. You know what I mean? And in the 60s and 70s and 80s, there was so much more room to grow from being lower class, middle class, to get up in there. If you had that motivation, that drive, and that intelligence, you could make a million out of yourself. You could do whatever you want.
You could feel that way, yeah.
The doors are just shutting now, and I think that's part of it as well. So yeah. There was a little study about antidepressants that I did want to also touch on. Saying that there's a debate there of whether serotonin levels are actually linked with depression and stuff like that, and I just thought a study has found this. It doesn't necessarily mean the study is bang on. You know what I mean? Things can be because, and I'm not saying that it is wrong or right or whatever, but all I can say is, and people ask me this every now and then, so I might as well talk about it. My medication has changed my life. Like,
right.
I'm on sertraline, which is a common antidepressant. And I think even you can tell, like, in the year that I've been on it, around about a year, my depression and my self-control and all of that, and like my outbursts and things that I used to struggle with, it's calmed right down. Everything, and it hasn't turned me into someone I wasn't, or it's just sorted out those nosedives of
right.
feeling like you want to kill yourself, or impending doom or anxiety. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't make life perfect, and I'm not on a high dose particularly, but I feel like it just enabled me to manage life in a way that isn't as kamikaze as what it used to feel.
Right.
And
as knee-jerk.
Yeah, and post-traumatic stress disorder, which I've had enough of in my life, it's really helped me cope with that. So I seen that and I thought, you know what, I've got a platform. I want to tell my side of what I feel about antidepressants, and I genuinely feel like they've potentially saved my life, really, because I was spiraling, going down the wrong road.
How did you feel about them before you started taking them?
Terrified.
Right. So that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, I was worried because obviously when you live in your own head and you're a thinker and you're an overthinker, you worry that they're going to turn you into some sort of like zombie or robot.
Makes you feel like it's some sort of like mental vasectomy or something like that in a way.
Oh yeah, I was worried that things like my creativity would be affected, that I would be affected in my decision making, and I would change who. It really hasn't. All it's done is stop the catastrophe feeling, like that kamikaze feeling of, right. Oh, everything's shit, I should just kill myself, all those sort of, and don't get me wrong, every now and then something creeps in, but it's so much more manageable, and it just feels like this is what I should have been like.
Right.
This is normal.
So it allows you to correct.
Yeah. Before I was thinking about suicide on a very regular basis. Now I don't. That's normal.
Yeah.
This is a good thing. And some people need antidepressants. I'm one of them.
What's your, you don't have to have a roadmap, like a ready-made answer, but like, what is your roadmap with that? Is that something you now feel you've just accepted it and you feel very comfortable with antidepressants? Like,
yeah, I'd personally be comfortable taking them for the rest of my life. Same dose that I'm on right now. I feel like it gives me a really leveled out feeling of life, and that when bad things happen I feel bad, when good things happen I feel good. It's like before, when bad things would happen I'd just think, what's the fucking point?
Right, you fall off the deep end.
Yeah, and combined with a rough life at times, like definitely there was reasons for me feeling exhausted, but yeah, it's been amazing for me. It's
also interesting because obviously antidepressants don't stop bad things from happening. It helps you to deal with the bad things.
That's all I'm saying.
And that's kind of the point, is it's not something that goes, oh, everything's fine now.
Yeah.
It's kind of it gives you the space to make the tools to make everything
But some people just don't realise that, like, when you go through shit, your brain is no different to your leg. Like, in that if you have multiple issues, injuries to your leg, it ain't going to be as good as it was before. And this is the way I feel about it. I'm not backing this up with any science. I could be wrong, but it was the way it was explained to me by a doctor who said, you've been through a lot of trauma. Your serotonin levels may be, out of whack because of what you've been through. And I'm not even joking. Within 3 days of taking the first tablet, I was like, fuck me, I feel different.
No, I remember you saying that.
And the doctor was like, oh, it'll take a month. And I was like, I'm telling you now, when you're as low as I've been, you feel a difference immediately. And I'm feeling a difference. And then I had to boost the amount up a little bit. If anything now, I'd be worried about coming off them because I feel so stable and just good. I don't feel, I'm not walking around all airy-fairy. You know what I mean?
That's the worry, isn't it, for a lot of people, I think. But like they sort of just like, maybe, you know what? Maybe some people will have that reaction to certain medication, and that's why different medications are made for different people's cases, right?
I mean, I've heard people have adverse reactions to antidepressants sometimes, and I think that everyone needs to treat everything individually. Not everyone will get the same impact as I got.
You were lucky to hit first time, essentially, and sort of go, oh, right, this is good for me.
Yeah, thank God. And but this is the thing, is people take all sorts for all sorts, and then they worry about something for their mind. But then there's a lot of people who, and I also agree with this, I scientifically, like chemically, I really feel like I needed them. Not just because I had a bad breakup or something, and I think some people go on antidepressants unnecessarily so. And that's where you really need to define, is this a bad week, bad month, rough year, or is this a chemical issue? I think for me, it was a last resort. It was, if I don't fucking get something, I'm going to fucking kill myself here.
Right.
And I really meant it, and I really felt it in my head. And I was desperate, and I just rang the doctor, and I was like, I'm telling you, I've been through a lot. This is needed here. So I think that's why you take them. It shouldn't, I'm not saying a complete last resort. I don't think I should have left it as long as I did. And maybe therapy and other things are a go-to beforehand, before you just say gives the drugs. But like I'm saying, there is too many people also on the other side. I left it too long, and there's too many people jumping the gun.
Yeah, and there's got to be a middle ground.
Yeah.
And essentially, it isn't an exact science. You can't really...
No, it's trial and error.
Yeah, because a lot of mental... Weirdly, if you see someone limping down the street and their legs snapped in half, you go, you should go to a hospital. But when someone's walking down the street depressed, you're like, they might be hungover, they might be whatever, and maybe you might see certain things in certain friends, but these things also happen slowly. Something terrible might happen and you don't see the impact on someone mentally immediately, or they'll go, well, I'm just having a hard time or whatever. So I guess that's where the talking thing that Paddy said sort of helps.
You figure that out. Yeah, because
that's the point.
Because if your life is actually pretty decent and you're feeling suicidal, then there's a problem. And that's where I was sort of realizing, my life's better than a lot of people's lives. Why do I feel like this? People like me, and I've got this YouTube thing.
Well, don't go overboard.
People watch me.
People watch. That's the point.
That's the main thing, bitches. Yeah. Keep the money coming.
Even the doctor was going delusional. Yeah, people like me, doc. Sure, they do.
Yeah, I've read the comments.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, I'm in the Twitch comments. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I just wanted to have a little bit on that after the Paddy thing, because people are talking about it again, and thank God. So well done, Paddy. Shout out to the big lad, and hopefully we'll get him back on the pod to discuss his journey to superstardom
without a fee. It's going to be a sticking point, Brian.
We actually paid for him last time.
Yeah,
I don't think he needs the money anymore.
Not huge.
Do you know what it's funny, because next time I connect, I'll be like, suppose the prices have gone up now, have they?
I've still got his phone number. Do you think I'd text him and see if he's still got the same number?
I don't know, but I do.
Remember, he was quite humble. He was sort of like, oh, if you don't mind, I'll get the train and I'll go here and do this. And
do you know what it is?
Thanks a lot,
this
mate.
Is the funny thing is, and I remember him bringing his girlfriend down to London, being like, take her out for the weekend,
Yeah.
And ironically, he had a pizza afterwards because he fucking loves a pizza.
Yeah.
And I remember the littlest of things, but it's just so great to see how in such a short space of time he's took off like a fucking rocket.
Yeah.
That was the podcast for this week. Don't forget to click on our sponsors to support the podcast. Big thank you to them. Big thank you to you lot for watching, as always. Appreciate yous. Hit the like button, subscribe, and we'll see yous on the next one.